Well, a new session of the House of Commons begins today. Both the government and opposition have identified their main concerns. CTV's Mike Lecouture joins us now from Ottawa with, Mike, a look at what we should expect from this session. And, you know, a few days ago, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, and this is very common rhetoric from him, talked about the Trudeau Liberals, you know, inflation and crime. And is this, you know, the inflation issue is really a concern of Canadians. Certainly everyone's feeling it. Let's talk about the priorities for the Liberals and the opposition.
Yeah, it's interesting because, Christina, we saw everybody sort of draw out their battle lines last week at their different caucuses, and certainly understanding where everybody is going to be going and the attacks that the Liberals can be expecting from the opposition party. So as you mentioned there, Pierre Poilievre talking about how everything seems to be broken in this country, blaming the Trudeau government for everything from the inflationary crisis to, as you said, the high rate of crime in certain cities that they believe is the fault of the Liberal government. So on the inflationary crisis, that is something that the Trudeau government will likely face those attacks from the Conservatives on, especially when the question period begins at 2:15 later on today. So the Liberal government is in this awkward position where they have to do this delicate dance in terms of helping the Canadians with targeted programs, and whether or not they continue to increase that ahead of their budget that's expected at some point this spring. So do they make them targeted? Do they expand them more? And the issue here is, if there is more government spending, does that mean that further exacerbates the inflationary crisis that a number of Canadians are seeing? So that is one of the pressure points that this government will be facing. On the other side, they'll have the NDP, where Jagmeet Singh at 11:30 is expected to call on the government and to call on Parliament to have this emergency debate on the privatization of healthcare, seeing what is happening in Ontario. And Jagmeet Singh very concerned that that could happen across the country, and that we could be seeing sort of the siphoning off of, or at least the poaching of, different professionals from healthcare sectors who might prefer to go into the private sector or into these private clinics that will be offering some of these public services. So it's interesting to see where we are going to see all of those pressure points coming at the government and how they will try and manage that. And healthcare will be front and center as well, as we know that the Prime Minister has that meeting with the premiers and territorial leaders coming up next week to try and really get the final T's crossed and I's dotted on a possible healthcare deal with the provinces. So that is how this is all sort of setting up on this first day of Parliament.
Healthcare, inflation, the two, I would suggest, biggest priorities for people in this province, if not those who live in provinces and territories in the entire country. So, Mike, that's all the time we have. Thank you. We appreciate this preview this morning.
Thanks, Christina.
See you soon.